Hey Art Fam, it's Luis Martin, the art engineer, and welcome to the studio, welcome to the safe space. I just realized I don't have my little magic controller. Isn't this wonderful? Bam! We're open for business. You guys, it is a wonderful fall day. It's one of those fall days where the sun is still present and saying bye slowly. A graceful exit. And I love it. I'll post a picture. It is like, it looks like a painting from my window because there's like a haze, a morning haze over the sun. It's beautiful. I hope it's wonderful where you are and you are basking in the sun. You guys, actually, before I jump into that, be sure you follow, like, subscribe, tell your friends, and let's grow together. Last Friday, I sent an email to everybody. If you're not on the email list, go to collagestream.com and get on that and be part of the art fam. I sent everyone a question. So I'm going to be part of a talk, an art talk this afternoon, and I wanted people's advice or people's feedback about how they connect with my channel, with my art practice, with my collage, with my ramblings, and I got a lot of really great feedback. Thank you so much if you took the time to reply to my email. I will get back to each one of them and reply because I really want to take the time to address them. So thank you so much. It means the world to me. I do not have a gazillion followers, but you know, a few followers that are really connected, and I know you are there on the other side of the screen and the conversation means everything. So thank you. But also, because I leave everything for the last minute, like I said, this event at Trans-cen-der is happening this afternoon in New York City at Equity Gallery. I haven't really prepared. Here's the thing though. I am one of those persons who knows my strengths. And I know that my strength is to leave it to the last moment. Is that a strength, right? I don't know, you guys. Do you have your coffee? I have my coffee. What are you drinking? So I thought I'd invite you in the process to how I get ready for these events and such. Before I do that, how are you? Did you have a good weekend? I went apple picking this weekend, and it was, again, glorious. I went with Elvis and two of our other friends. It was magnificent. You know, I'm from LA. We don't have maybe they have apple orchards, but they don't have them in downtown LA where I live. So this is still new. I've been doing it for what, 20 years now, but it's still like, wow, apples come from trees. Okay, so I hope you go pumpkin picking or apple picking this season. Try it out. It's cool. Okay, so when I do these type of events where I'm going to be speaking, it's really easy sometimes to get nervous or anxious about stuff, but here is my go-to solution to that. Get ahead of the game. And this isn't my technique. This is a technique that I learned from Abraham Hicks. If you know who Abraham Hicks is, you know. If you don't, go look them up. Magic. So you get ahead of the game. You say, oh my God, how exciting that I get to do this. That I will have done this, right? So in my head, I'm already done, and I'm like, that was great. I had tons of fun. So in my head, I'm already done. I'm just kind of going over it. Does that make sense to you? I know it's a little abstract, but I'm not worried about the world ending while I'm doing it. I am excited about getting it done and kind of like after drinking that first sip of coffee being, right? So that's one thing. Also, if you ever have to be in front of a group and present, one thing that I like to think about is, who am I talking to? I'm not talking to everybody. And as a matter of fact, I like to think that there's no one in the room and that I'm talking to God, right? I'm just kind of talking to my higher self. So I keep that in mind because then whoever needs to hear it will hear it, and if it doesn't apply to anybody in the room, well, it doesn't apply, but I still have to hear it for myself, right? And the third, more practical, that you can actually write down if you're, left-thinking brain, is 3 points for each slide. 3 points for each slide. You don't have to make it drawn out. The thing about it is that a lot of people can't hold a lot of information, so there's no point in drowning people with with too much. So what I like to do is I just like to do 3 points for each, and then whatever comes from it comes. And to me personally, I love it when I'm in a room and I can kind of bounce off people's energies, right? I know what people need to hear by their energies, or by seeing them and how they react to certain imagery. And that makes me really happy, because then I know that I'm serving something that needs to be there, right? So I'm happy about that. Since you're not going to be there, I'm going to share it with you now. And tell me what you think in the comments. Again, this is me preparing for tonight. Don't judge me. I know you're not. Okay, so this is slide number 1. Of course, I'm not collaging, but I've been collaging. So there is stuff. Okay, so slide number 1 is my introduction. And you know what? I'm going to write these down because I don't want to forget. Also, everything about starting something, about the process, make it fun. I'm going to use a pink pen. Why the heck not, right? Just make it fun. All right, so slide number 1. Is this one, and basically the 3 points that I want to draw out is, this is my studio from the inside out, right? My whole goal as an artist is to create something and then throw it out there, throw it into the world. I don't want to keep it. I don't want to close my door anymore. I want to invite people in, not only to see my art and to buy my work, please, but also to have people be inspired to create art, right? To make. So point number 1 is from the inside out. How about that? I might have to edit this because I write slow. The second one is really the metaphor of the book. Kind of my life is an open book. Not in a I want to be an influencer, because God knows there are easier ways to do that than art. But because I come from not knowing things, like nobody told me a lot of things, so I kind of figure out on my own. I figured that there's other people who need to know things that I know that I didn't know, and they know things that I need to know. So the more we have these conversations, the more we share, the better, the higher, the faster we get to where we want to go, right? So sharing, and I think that's one thing that came across in the email, so thank you. The openness of my journey as an artist, right? What's another one? Well, obviously, collage. I'm a collage artist, and I really do believe that collage is a gateway for my writing, a gateway for my painting, a gateway for conversation, and it's just a democratic practice, so that's it. So, slide number 2. This is, and just so you know, I have 9 minutes for this, so I better whittle this down. So slide number 2, okay, collage. I think when people think about collage, in New York I think it's changing because a lot of people are collaging more and more, but I think when people think about collage, they think about nostalgia, they think about Life magazine, and nostalgia. And I don't use Life magazine very deliberately, right? Because I don't see myself in Life magazine. It doesn't reflect who I am. So for me to be able to create a practice, to craft a practice that includes me, right? And how do I do that? I use the periphery of things. I don't go to Vogue and cut a picture of a person, because it's usually not going to be someone that resembles me, someone that feels familiar, ever. Right? So I have to create my own thing, and that is when collage really becomes a magical practice, right? Because I'm literally creating something new that gives me power, that empowers me, right? And you can do that too. So collage, nostalgia, no. Magic, and I guess the third being creating my own narrative, right? Slide number 3. So slide number 3 is, I love this image. I think I made it on my birthday, actually. I don't know. So slide number 3 is really, again, about getting into a visual language of my own indigenous background, right? Of my Mexican culture. A lot of things that were lost, right? I didn't grow up with these imagery around me, maybe in my very periphery, in the very back, but through my collage, I get to rediscover things, and I get to give them meaning for myself, and really give them a place of power, and putting them center, right, into what I want to see in my world. So with this one, I would say narrative, realigning, and I think this is the whole thing, right? Actually, maybe we'll talk about that in the next one. See, remember I told you I have dysgraphia? I already wrote one thing and I'm like, wait, what does that say? I have to. Thank goodness I'm recording. Thank you for being witness to this. Okay, so slide number 4. Again, really creating my own world, right? And this is kind of cheeky, and if you get it, you get it. And I didn't do anything on purpose here, but you can. I kind of just flip my eyes and just create. And this one's really fun. I'm a Gemini. I love that idea of duality. I love the idea of the sexuality coming through. And really just being unabashedly colorful, right? Like I just really want to have fun. And I also want to say that I become more of myself the more I create the collages, because growing up, I mean, I wore color, but I wore a lot of black, right? Because you disappear, yet it's a powerful color. But the more I collage, the more I realize I wear pink, and now pink is everywhere, and I dress in pink, and I like have a pink sign. So having that connection really allows me to self-realize, self-actualization, all these things that make me closer to who I really am, right? So number 5, the next one, I think this is where I can talk about magic, right? Magic is a huge part of what I do, and I mean, that can mean anything, right? Like magic can just really mean my belief in that everything's going to be okay, that what I do matters, even if it doesn't pay the bill outright, or I don't know, right? So this is where it gets a little bit fun, because I also know that when you are presenting to an audience, you should know your audience, right? I don't want to come and sell you whatever I'm selling if you are not there for it, because I don't want to waste my breath. I'm not on a mission to convince you of anything. So I kind of want to be accessible and still speak my truth. So this one is really just about the fantasy, and also I can talk about magical realism, right? And what is magical realism? It's very connected to Latino literature. And here it kind of plays out as well, and I think that's just because of the Latino connection to the earth and the Latino connection to mythology. So it all plays out here. So I'm going to sit on this one for a minute. Number 6 is also very magical, isn't it? This is where I get to talk about... What do I get to talk about? Yeah. It's really interesting because I saw some of the other artists that are presenting, and here's the thing. So I do things very differently. I used to be part of a different world before I started doing this, right? I come from academia. I worked in museums. I went to art school, and it's a very different way of thinking, right? When you're in art school, your art is supposed to speak more than you, right? You kind of just do it and shut up and be the mysterious artist, and not me. I have things to say. I want to speak more. I want to speak to you. I want to hear you. I want to be present. I don't want it just to be the work. As a matter of fact, to me, the work is kind of secondary because it's not me. Like, I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to experience the world through my art, not the other way around. So I part of me wants to be like, it's all about community, it's all about ritual, right? Because when I sit down, oh, there we go. There we go. See, this is, thank you. This is what I'm doing. I am throwing out words, and when you just kind of let it all out, you'll hear something like, "Oh, that's what I need to talk about." Ritual. So, to me, the process of collage is not only art, but it's also a ritual that brings out conversation, right, and stories. Come on, dysgraphia. Okay, number 7. So number 7 is a really fun one, right? So this is where I get to talk about sexuality and sexuality without kind of feeling bad about it, right? Because I don't think I forget, and I really do forget, because I'm kind of, I have my blinkers on, right? I'm kind of just on my mission to live my life and not feel bad about my desires and not feel ashamed about anything. Actually, so here's the thing. There's a story that I wanted to tell, and I think maybe this is where I'll tell it, and I'll tell it to you now. So it has nothing to do with sex, but I have a friend who is an interesting character, and he met up with me in San Francisco, and we had drinks, and he told me the weirdest story that kind of shifted me. It really did. And if you allow yourself to be part of conversations, things inside will change you. They'll kind of realign. So be careful who you realign with and hear stories from. But this one's really interesting. So we were talking, and he's like, yeah, we have a purpose. And, well, no, he said we don't have a purpose. Well, he wasn't dogmatic at all. He does, atheist, whatever. But he's like, our purpose is just to poop. And I thought, what? He's like, yes, think about it. We live on this planet, this organism, and we're put here to enjoy it, to eat from the garden, then to poop and fertilize it and do it all over again. What a wonderful life. I'm like, whoa, right. And then he said, and then someone invented indoor plumbing. And then everybody needed to work to pay for indoor plumbing. And then you had to wear clothes. And then you had to be ashamed about wanting to eat and poop. And everything went to hell. And I thought, gee, that makes perfect sense. Can you imagine if that's all we're supposed to do? And I take it a step further because, poop is a byproduct of what you consume. And in many ways, art is a byproduct of what you consume. So I feel absolutely no shame about making art, or pooping for that matter, because it's what we're meant to do, right? So in many ways, art fertilizes our soul in the world, just like we're supposed to be fertilizing the earth. So I thought it was brilliant, and it kind of changed me, and it, in an odd way, like whatever little grain of shame I felt is completely gone. Completely, it's sprouted into a daisy. So maybe I'll tell that story there, number 7. The next one goes a little bit further in talking about my queerness and again, my manifestation of masculinity, right? Because I am a cisgender man, I am gay, and this is, I understand, again, going back to the not feeling shame, but this is my expression of masculinity. There are endless manifestations of how to be a man, how to feel like a man, how to manifest masculinity, and this is how I do it, right? And here are the lovers, and they're in pink. Here's this man on the left going into just, I don't know, like this Avery, into this portal. So I like that. Masculinity. Does that make sense to you? How are you a manifestation of what you are, right? And I'm not only saying male, female, or non-binary, but as a mother, as an artist, we get to be our very own interpretation of that, and there is no right or wrong, right? Okay, number 9. Number 9 is where I get to really speak about how I use my work to connect, and how I literally go from the studio out, right? So I have my 2 zines, or I have 2 zines that I've done, Divine Queer Art Skin, which is a love letter to the queer community about how divine we are and how the only perversion is separation, the feeling of disconnected from each other. That's the only sin, that's the biggest lie, right? So that's what that was. And then the next one is In the Voice of the Mountain, or In the Mountain's Voice, which is the poetry book that I just released out. It's collage.com. You can go purchase it. And then I'll talk about the Collage Dream kits and the Art Fam and how that really connects the community together through my memberships and also through the YouTube. Yeah, and I mean, and kind of talking about it just is really beautiful. And I encourage you to do this because sometimes, most of the times, we don't realize how much we've done or how far we've come, right? Like, I'm believe it or not, I'm a very private person. And when I meet up with people and they're like, oh, how are you? What have you been up to? And I'm like, I'm good. Oh, nothing. Because I'm kind of just on my path and I'm not stopping to like take inventory, which we really need to do once in a while. But I'm kind of just enjoying the process, you guys. So this is a really beautiful moment for me to be able to be like, oh, good work. You got your shit together and you you published, you did what you wanted to do and you didn't wait for anybody to invite you to do it, right? Because I think that's another huge thing. We think someone's going to tell us, oh, come write your book, come make a collage, come start your business. No one's going to tell you anything. You have to do it, right? So this is a beautiful moment to kind of look back and reflect. And the last one really is all about that. This is a self-portrait I did for, I think it was Februage last year, that I really liked. And it's me, over and over and over. And I think, really, again, the whole act of collage being magic, it's me creating myself, right? And making different versions of myself, and what that means to me, and I get to dictate that, right? I think we're really fortunate to if you're watching this, I think you're really fortunate to be here, right? So many worlds are on fire right now, and the fact that we can be right here enjoying this, let's enjoy it. Let's make more. Let's drink the coffee. Let's hug somebody, right? Because that might change. So right now, and I think by doing this, you really set the path for yourself, or I'm setting the path for myself to continue this life, no matter where I am, right? If all of this goes up in flames, I have it in my mind how to continue and start again, right? And so if you're in that place where you have to start again, you've done it before, keep going. You've done it before, right? So I think this is my presentation, you guys. Yeah, it felt good. It felt a little, sketchy because I was trying to write and I'm like, But here's the thing. I love the adrenaline of being in front of a group and, again, vibing. Just kind of like, okay, this is my work and this is how this is what it means to me, and let me work at figuring out, not even work, let me just see how it connects to you. And that's the most exciting thing. So you guys, thanks for indulging me in this. I hope you liked what you saw. Let me know if anything felt weird or good. Also, because we're talking about the other side of art, right? We're talking about how to put a presentation and what I'm going to say. I also finished reading this amazing book, and it's a business book. I told you I read a lot of business books, but this one was really different because, one, it was bite-sized case studies, and it puts the heart in front of the money, which is not always the case. It's called The $100 Startup. It is beautiful. It's about just 300 pages, which isn't a lot, honestly, because it goes by really fast. It says, "Fire your boss, do what you love, and work better to live more." Get this book, especially if you're an artist and you want to kind of make a living or supplement your living, because I'm not kidding, this really felt different than all the other business books. And I finished it, but I'm gonna read it again, because just like all of my business books, just like all of my magic books, it doesn't mean anything if you don't take the theory and put it into practice. So I recommend it. Let me know if you want to start a mastermind group, and we can make that happen. All right, you guys. Well, I'll let you know how it goes. This is tonight, so I won't share it until next week. And next week, I'm really excited. I'm going to be talking about the Day of the Dead altar that I've put up in my house. So you're invited. All right, this is Luis Martin, the art engineer. Go to collage.com and be part of this in any which way you want. And I will see you here, there, and everywhere you take your phone. Cheers.